Hello, my dear students. Welcome you all to Sri Jayendra Rank Zone classes. I am your mentor and your friend for the subject biology, and I will be taking the zoology section, that is animal science. My dear students, in the previous lecture, we have learned about the classification of connective tissues, connective tissue proper, skeletal connective tissue, and the vascular connective tissue. We have discussed different cells which are present in the connective tissue proper, and now we are going to discuss the second part of the components of connective tissue proper, that is the fibers. So fibers, first we are going to discuss about the collagen fibers, and they are also known as the white fibers. Okay, so these are the shining white fibers, the collagen fibers made up of collagen protein, and the name of the protein is tropocollagen. The name of the fiber is collagen, and the name of the protein which is present in these fibers is the collagen, tropocollagen. Okay, it is present in the maximum quantity in vertebrates. In vertebrates, the maximum abundant protein is tropocollagen, okay, or we can say the maximum collagen fibers they are present. Only collagen fibers constitute 1/3 part of the connective tissue fibers in human beings. In human beings, out of the total connective tissue fibers, 1/3 part is basically shared by the collagen fibers, right? These fibers are wavy, they are wave-like, okay, and they are very tough. Their tensile strength is very high. Tensile strength is very high, and they are always arranged in bundles. These bundular arrangements of the collagen fibers, they are known as what? Fascia. Okay, so these are wavy and tough fibers, and they are arranged in bundles, and they are known as what? Fascia. On boiling, they convert into gelatin. Okay, so on boiling, collagen converts into gelatin. Okay, they can be digested by pepsin enzyme. Okay, so they are shining white fibers composed of the collagen protein, that is tropocollagen. Secondly, it is present in the maximum quantity. Okay, in vertebrates, only collagen fibers constitute around 1/3 of the connective tissue fibers present in human beings. Now, secondly, these fibers are wavy, okay, I mean, they are wave-like, and they are arranged in bundles, and these bundles are known as what? Fascia. On boiling, they convert into gelatin. On boiling these fibers, they convert into gelatin, okay, and they can be digested by pepsin enzyme. You can see in this picture that these fibers are wave-like, okay, the wave-like fibers, and they are very densely packed, okay. They are known as what? Collagen fibers. And these are the fibroblast cells. These fibroblast cells, they basically secrete or they lay collagen. Laying of collagen fibers is done by fibroblast. Is done by fibroblast. Okay, mean secretion. The secretion of collagen fibers is done by the fibroblast cells. Now, coming to next, elastic fibers. Elastic fibers, they are also known as yellow fibers, and that is why they are known as what? Yellow elastic fibers. The precursor in color, and it is composed of elastin protein. So because of this elastin protein, they are yellowish in color. And they are elastic. Okay, so this protein is elastic, and that is why it is known as what? Elastin protein. They are branch fibers, but always arranged singly. Okay, when they never make bundles. So they are branch fibers, but always arranged singly without bundles. Frames of these form network. Okay, no bundles are formed. In these fibers, the elasticity is maximum. Okay, and it is a part of combined pre-medical test 2000, okay, that elastin fibers or the elastic fibers, they have maximum elasticity. They are highly resistant to chemicals, okay. They are highly resistant to chemicals, okay. When they boil, they do not dissolve. So it is an important point. When these fibers are boiled, they do not dissolve, while the collagen fibers, they are converted into gelatin. Understood? Now, they can be digested by trypsin enzyme. The collagen fibers, they can be digested by pepsin enzyme, and the elastic fibers, they can be digested by trypsin enzyme. Okay. Then the third category is reticular fibers. Reticular fibers, the precursor of collagen fibers. So reticular fibers, they are the precursor of collagen fibers. Okay. And they are delicate with no elasticity. With no elasticity. Okay. They are also known as aerophil fibers since they can be stained with silver salts. So they are basically known as aerophilic. The spelling is aerophilic fibers, and they can be stained by silver salts. They're composed of reticulin protein, which is highly branched. Okay, so maximum branching is seen in reticulin or reticular fibers, then elastic fibers, and then the collagen. Understood? Collagen fibers, they are white because their matrix is like a it is just like a glass, okay, transparent. Then it is yellowish, and then the reticular fibers, okay. They are composed of reticulin protein, which is highly branched, which always form dense network. Okay. These are mainly distributed in lymphoid organs like spleen or lymph nodes. So reticular fibers, they are mainly found in lymphoid organs like spleen and lymph nodes. So there are three types of fibers, my dear students. First one is the white fibers, second the yellow fibers, and the third reticular fibers. The white fibers, they are made up of collagen, and the protein is tropocollagen. It can be digested by the pepsin enzyme. When heated, when boiled, they are converted into gelatin. Okay, and these fibers, they are arranged, in a form of bundles, but they are not branched. Okay, in case of elastic fibers, they are highly branched. Okay, but always arranged in a single. Okay, not bundles. Okay, and it is also very elastic. The elastic fibers are very elastic in nature, and they are highly resistant to chemicals. Okay, when boiled, they do not dissolve, and they can be digested by trypsin enzyme. Reticular fibers, they are present in the lymphoid organs like spleen or lymph nodes. They are the precursor of collagen fibers. Okay, and they are very delicate, but elasticity is absent. Also known as aerophilic fibers, as they can be stained by silver salts. They're composed of reticulin protein, which is highly branched. Okay, so the protein which is present in white fibers, tropocollagen. In case of yellow fibers, elastin. In case of reticular fibers, reticulin. Now coming to next, on the basis of matrix, the connective tissue is also further classified into three types: connective tissue proper, skeletal connective tissue or the supporting connective tissue, and the fluid connective tissue. Matrix of connective tissue proper is basically composed of mucopolysaccharide, which is present in the form of hyaluronic acid. Okay, so the matrix or the ground substance is basically made up of mucopolysaccharide, which is present in the form of hyaluronic acid. In case of connective tissue proper, it is further of two types: loose and dense. Loose connective tissue, they have more matrix and less amount of fibers. Example, areolar connective tissue and adipose connective tissue. And the dense, which is having more fibers and less matrix, it is of two types: dense regular and dense irregular. Then the skeletal connective tissue, in which matrix is mineralized and calcified, bone and cartilage. And the fluid connective tissue, example, blood and lymph. Now coming to next slide, connective tissue proper. Connective tissue proper is further divided into loose connective tissue and dense connective tissue. Loose connective tissue, it consists of cells, and these cells are scattered within the amorphous mass of proteins that form the ground substance. Okay, so in case of loose connective tissue, it consists of cells which are scattered within an amorphous mass of the proteins that is known as what? Ground substance. The gelatinous material is strengthened by a loose scattering scattering of protein fibers such as collagen, elastin, which make tissue elastic, and reticulin, which supports the tissue by forming the collagenous meshwork. As you know, the reticular fibers, they are the precursors of collagen fibers. Okay, so the loose connective tissue, the cells are scatteredly oriented in the amorphous mass of protein, which is known as what, the ground substance. The gelatinous material is strengthened by loose scattering of the protein fibers such as collagen and the elastin, okay, which maintains the strength of the fiber, the connective tissue proper, loose connective tissue, which makes tissue elastic, okay. So presence of the collagen and the elastin fibers, which makes tissue elastic, okay, and the reticulin fibers, which support the tissue by forming the collagenous meshwork. Now the areolar connective tissue is also known as the spongy tissue, okay, as it is having large amount of intercellular spaces, okay. It is most widely distributed tissue in the body. In All India Pre-Medical Test 2010, it has been asked that which among the following is the spongy tissue. So the answer is areolar connective tissue. It is most widely distributed tissue in the body. So areolar connective tissue, it basically serves to pack the space between the organs, and that is why it is the most widely distributed tissue among the body organs, okay. In this tissue, maximum intercellular space or substance or matrix is present. It has been the part of the question of CPMT 1996 that maximum intercellular space is also present in the areolar connective tissue. Due to irregular arrangement of bundle of collagen fibers, may gaps are present. Because of the irregular arrangement of the bundles of collagen fibers, gaps are present. These spaces or gaps are known as what? Areolae. Okay. So in case of areolar connective tissue, the collagen fibers, they basically are present in the form of bundles, but there is large amount of space in between these bundles, and that is why this space is known as what? Areolae. Okay. The maximum intercellular space present in these tissues, and they are most widely distributed among the body. Okay. It is also known as the spongy tissue. So basically, the connective tissue proper is basically of two types: the loose connective tissue and the dense connective tissue. The loose connective tissue, in which more amount of matrix and less amount of fibers, in which the examples are the areolar connective tissue and the adipose connective tissue, okay. And the dense connective tissue is further divided into the dense regular and dense irregular, okay. Now coming to next, previously there is a picture which I have shown you with the help of macrophages. Then these are the fibroblast cells having the cytoplasmic branchings, okay, and the collagen fibers. These are the collagen fibers, okay. Now coming to next, areolar connective tissue, loose connective tissue. This loose connective tissue, this is the histopathological, diagram, in which you can see the macrophages, the elastic fibers, the collagen fibers, and the fibroblast. Okay, you can see the fibroblast, elastic fibers. Okay, these are the elastic fibers, collagen fibers. These are the collagen fibers, and the matrix. Okay. Now coming to next, you can see that these fibers, they are having so much of space, and that is why they are very flexible, and they provides support as well as elasticity, okay. In areola, the other components of the connective tissues are distributed like fibers, cell, and matrix. Few elastic fibers are present, but the reticular fibers are completely absent. In case of areolar connective tissue, the reticular fibers are completely absent, but elastic fibers and the collagen fibers, they are present. But when we talk about the loose connective tissue, okay, the loose connective tissue is having basically, or it can have, the both the collagen and the elastin along with the reticular fibers. In case of which is the subpart of the loose connective tissue, that is the areolar connective tissue, the reticular fibers are completely absent. Mast cells, macrophages, and fibroblasts, they are present, and they are present in large amount, especially the fibroblasts, which are present in the maximum amount, okay. Fibroblast, maximum amount. It occurs beneath the epithelia, just below the epithelia of many visceral organs, skin, and in the walls of blood vessels. It occurs just beneath the epithelia of many visceral organs, skin, and the walls of the blood vessels. Fibroblast is the main cell of the areolar connective tissue. Tela subcutaneous. It is a thin continuous layer which connects the skin with underlying skeletal muscles. Okay. So underlying skeletal muscles, they are known as what? Panniculus carnosus. Okay. So tela subcutaneous is basically a thin continuous layer which connects skin with the underlying skeletal muscles. These underlying skeletal muscles are known as what? Panniculus carnosus. In mammals, skin is tightly attached with the muscles. In mammals, the skin is tightly attached with the muscles. While in frog, it is present in the form of septum, so skin is loosely attached with the muscles. In frog, it is present in the form of septa, that is why the skin is loosely attached with the muscles. Endomysium, it is around a single muscular fiber. Okay, when there is a single muscle fiber, okay, like we talk about sarcomere. So if it is a single bundle or single fiber, the single fiber is basically covered by endomysium. Okay, perimysium around bundles of many fibers. When the same many bundles are arranged, and these bundles are basically covered by a overall sheath. This overall sheath which is covering all these bundles, it is known as what? Perimysium. Okay, around bundles of muscle fibers. Okay. So you can see there are three terms: endomysium, perimysium, epimysium. Endomysium is around one muscle fiber. Perimysium, when many of the muscle fibers they make one bundle. Okay, so perimysium. And epimysium, when many bundles they are covered by the epimysium. Okay, it is also present in the outside of the seminiferous tubules, medulla of ovary, submucosa of trachea, bronchi, and intestine. The areolar tissue joins different tissues and forms the packaging between them and help to keep the organs in place and in normal shape. So the areolar connective tissue, the main functions are to form endomysium, to form perimysium, okay, outside the seminiferous tubules, then the medulla of ovary, then the submucosa of trachea, bronchi, and intestine. The areolar tissue helps to pack the space between the organs and to make them position, to make their place fixed. Okay. Now coming to next, adipose connective tissue. Adipose connective tissue, they are basically made up of adipocytes, which are the fat containing cells. The modifications of areolar connective tissue. So adipose connective tissue is a modification of areolar connective tissue, but in areolae, major component is adipocytes. In case of the loose areolar connective tissue, we can say that the components were fibroblast, mainly fibroblast, but in case of adipose connective tissue, the components were mainly adipocytes, which store fats, located mainly beneath the skin. Okay, blood vascular system is also present in these tissues. If this tissue is treated with absolute alcohol, okay, the fat will completely dissolve and it will become vacuolated. Means the vacuole, which is storing the fat, okay, it becomes, empty because of the dissolution of fat. The tissue can be stained by a very important stain, Sudan solution. Okay, the Sudan solution is basically help to stain the adipose connective tissue or the fat cells. On the basis of adipocytes, there are two types of fats: brown fat and white fat. In the previous slides, before this lecture also, I have explained about the difference between the white adipose tissue or white fat cells, or white fat and brown fat. Okay. So adipose connective tissue cells, they are having more amount of fat storage area. The nucleus is eccentric. You can see, okay, it is present just below the skin, and blood vascular system is also present in them. Okay, if we take absolute alcohol and try to dissolve these adipocytes, then they will become vacuolated, mean without vacuole having the fat content, because the fat content will be dissolved. They can be easily stained by Sudan solution, and it is of two types: white fat and brown fat. Now coming to next, this is the picture. Okay, this part is the fat storage area, fat storage vacuole. Okay, this is the nucleus and the plasma membrane. Okay, these fat storage are known as what? Elioplast. So elaioplast, they basically store the fat. Okay, now coming to next, white fat. White fat is monolocular, mean only one locule is present. Okay, so the adipocytes are monolocular. Karnataka common entrance examination 2000, this question was asked that which among the following is monolocular, then the white fat. They produce less amount of energy because the mitochondrial content is low. Mitochondria less. Okay. Panniculus adiposus. Panniculus adiposus is a thin continuous layer of white fat under the dermis of skin. Panniculus adiposus is basically a thin connective continuous layer of white fat under the dermis of skin. Panniculus adiposus. Just give me a minute. Here you can see panniculus carnosus. So I have just gone in the previous slides to make you differentiate between panniculus carnosus and panniculus adiposus. Panniculus adiposus is the part of adipose tissue, and panniculus carnosus is basically the part of the loose areolar connective tissue. Now, panniculus adiposus is absent in rabbit. Okay, why? The fact is rabbit undergoes either hibernation or estivation in extreme summers and extreme winters. Estivation in case of summers and hibernation in case of winters. The other reason that panniculus adiposus is absent in rabbit is that they undergo hibernation in case of winters and estivation in summers, so they don't need this adipose tissue layer. Blubber, thick layer of white fat under the dermis of skin. So blubber is basically the layer of white fat under the dermis of skin, which act as a thermoregulator. It is also found in whale, seal, and elephants. Understood? The blubber. Maximum thickness of this layer is found to be in blue whale, 80 centimeter. Okay. So the layer of white fat means the blubber. It is found in blue whale up to 80 centimeter of thickness. Hump of camel, tail of merino sheep, and yellow bone marrow, they are basically having white fat. Yellow bone marrow, hump of camel, and tail of merino sheep, they are having the white fat. White fat is monolocular, less amount of mitochondria, produces less energy. Okay, they are having panniculus adiposus, which is the thin continuous layer of white fat under the dermis of skin. Panniculus adiposus is absent in rabbit. Blubber is a thick layer which is thickest in case of blue whale, 80 centimeter. Okay, it acts as a thermoregulator or the insulator. Then maximum thickness of this layer is found to be in blue whale. Hump of camel are the other examples: hump of camel, tail of merino sheep, and yellow bone marrow. Now coming to next, brown fat. Brown fat, they have multiple locules. Okay, in the adipocytes. It produces 20 times more heat than white fat. The reason is, in case of brown fat, there is a presence of uncoupling protein 1, UCP 1. And in case of white fat, there is the presence of leptin. Okay. So this uncoupling protein UCP is thermogeneral, which increases the metabolic rate and produce heat. The brown color of fat is due to the presence of cytochrome pigment. This cytochrome pigment gives the brown color. Okay. Cold resistance device in newborn baby is due to the presence of brown fat. It accounts for 5 to 6% of body weight. In case of newborn baby, the brown fat is dominant in comparison to the white fat because the baby is highly metabolic and it needs to control the body temperature. Okay. It accounts for about 5 to 6% of body weight. In hibernating animals, during hibernation, they obtain energy from stored brown fat. Okay. So in hibernating animals, they actually acquire the stored brown fat from, they acquire energy from the stored brown fat. Okay. So white fat and brown fat. Okay. In case of white fat, it is present. Panicula's adiposus is absent. Okay, because I told you that as the in case of brown fat, the animals which are going in hibernation, they actually can use the energy, utilize the energy with the help of brown fat. But white fat, it is just acting as a thermoregulator. Okay. Now coming to next, white fat and brown fat is done. The differentiating table between brown fat and white fat I have already explained. So please go through my previous videos to have a look on that. Now we are going to start with the areolar connective tissue is completed. The adipose connective tissue is completed. Now we are going to talk about the dense connective tissue. The dense connective tissue is of two types: dense regular and dense irregular. So fibers, fibroblast are they are compactly packed in the dense connective tissue. The dense connective tissue means fibers, fibroblasts, they are very densely packed. Fibers, they are arranged in a regular or an irregular pattern, and that is why they are called dense regular and dense irregular connective tissues, mean respectively. In the dense regular connective tissue, the collagen fibers are present in the form of rows between many parallel bundles of fibers, example tendons and ligaments. So in tendons and ligaments, the dense regular connective tissue means the collagen fibers, they are present in row, okay, between the parallel bundles of fibers, example tendons and ligaments. Dense irregular connective tissue has fibroblast and many fibers, mostly collagen. So they mainly have collagen, okay, mostly collagen. Then they mostly have collagen. They are oriented in different directions. They basically get oriented in different directions. This tissue is present in skin, in case of skin, peritoneum, and bones in the form of periosteum. Okay, so the part of the epithelium which can, the part of the connective tissue which basically makes the periosteum, it is basically made up of dense connective tissue. Understood? It is made up of dense connective tissue. So please remember these terms, that the tissue is present in the skin in perineurium. Okay, so the tissue is present in the skin in perineurium and bones as periosteum. Okay, so the dense connective tissue, dense irregular connective tissue, it is having fibroblast and many other fibers, mostly collagen, and they are oriented in random directions. Okay, they are present in case of perineurium, okay, and in case of periosteum. So perineurium, periosteum, they have dense irregular connective tissue. Okay, and dense regular connective tissue, they are present in tendons and ligaments. So please differentiate the examples. Dense regular connective tissue in case of tendons and ligaments, and dense irregular connective tissue in case of perineurium and periosteum. Okay, understood? Now coming to next. This is the dense connective tissue, regular and irregular. Okay, you can see that in case of regular, the bundles, they are having the parallel fibers. All the fibers are parallel, and these are the fibroblasts. Okay, but in case of dense irregular, you can see the space between the fibers. Okay, they are not parallel arranged, they are irregularly arranged. That is why the name is given irregular. Okay, so this is the dense connective tissue, dense regular and dense irregular. Okay, now the wide fibrous connective tissue. White fibrous connective tissue, they are basically made of the collagen fiber bundles. Okay, they are made up of collagen fiber bundles, and they are more in quantity, and the other components of the connective tissue proper are less in quantity. It has greater tensile strength. So please remember, in case of white fibrous connective tissue, this category of fibrous connective tissue is having large amount of collagen fibers arranged in bundle. Okay, and these components of connective tissues, they are very less in quantity and they have greater tensile strength. Yellow fibers and reticular fibers are completely absent in white fibrous connective tissue. As the name suggests, white means it is having only collagen fibers, no yellow fibers and no reticular fibers. It is present in between the skull bones in the form of joints, and these joints are basically, immovable. Okay, so the movement in these joints, it is not allowed or permeated because of the presence of the collagen fibers, okay, or the white fibrous connective tissue in between the skull bones. On the basis of arrangement of fibers and matrix, the tissue occurs in two forms: cord, dense, regular. So the cord, which is a part of the white fibrous connective tissue, is known as dense, regular. The bundle of collagen fibers and the matrix are distributed in regular pattern, okay, that alternate pattern, okay. Fibroblast cells are arranged in a series. Mast cells are scattered in matrix. Example, tendon connects muscles to bone. So if we look into the microscopic picture of tendons, which help to connect muscles to bones, the mast cells are scattered in the matrix of the white fibrous connective tissue, along with the fibroblast cells, which are arranged in a series. Okay. Example, tendon connects muscles and bones. Strongest tendon of the body is tendocalcaneus. Tendocalcaneus basically help to connect the gastrocnemius muscle of shank with calcaneum bone of ankle. The calcaneum bone is present in the ankle, and gastrocnemius muscle, it is present in the shank region. So it helps to connect the gastrocnemius muscles of shank with the calcaneum bone of the ankle. So now I am getting it revised. White fibrous connective tissue is made up of collagen fibers. Okay. And the cells, they are very specific. They have very high tensile strength. Yellow fibers and reticular fibers are completely absent. Only collagen fibers are present. It's present at joints between skull bones. Okay. So that it becomes immovable. Okay. On the basis of arrangement of fibers and matrix, this tissue occurs in two forms: cord, dense, regular. Okay, the cord, dense, regular. The bundle of collagen fibers and the matrix are distributed in the regular pattern. Fibroblast cells are arranged in the series, and mast cells are scattered in the matrix. Tendon connects muscle to bones. Okay, strongest tendon of the body, tendocalcaneus. This tendon connects gastrocnemius muscle of the shank with the calcaneum bone of ankle. So this is white fibrous connective tissue. Now the second part, okay, that see the white fibrous connective tissue is having basically two subparts. One is that cord or dense regular, then the sheath or the dense irregular. In this form, there is irregular pattern of the fibers and matrix seen. So the pattern of the fibers in the matrix is irregular. You can see in the picture. Cells and the fibers are crisscrossed. They are like this, and in between the cells are. So cells and fibers, they are crisscrossed, arranged. Example, pericardium, periosteum. Pericardium is outside the heart. Periosteum outside the bone. Perichondrium outside the cartilage. Epimysium covering the muscles, and renal capsule around kidney. The sheath or the dense irregular form is present in periosteum, perichondrium, epimysium, and the renal capsules. Tunica albuginea is also having the dense irregular, tissue in the form of sheath. Okay, the tunica albuginea, it helps to cover the testes. It is made up of sheath or dense irregular connective tissue. Okay, so dense regular and dense irregular. These two terms, please remember these two terms. Okay, the dense regular and dense irregular. Understood? Then cornea of eye, dura mater, they are also made up of the dense irregular connective tissue. Splenic capsule, it is also present or having the dense irregular connective tissue. Cornea of eye, trachea, bronchi, esophagus, they all have dense irregular connective tissue. Glisson's capsule around the lobe of liver, it is also a, the dense irregular connective tissue. Now coming to next, yellow fibrous connective tissue. Yellow fibers are more in quantity, but collagen fibers are also present. So it is not like that the collagen fibers, they are completely absent. Collagen fibers, they are present, and they have yellow fibers. The reticular fibers are absent. Yeah, reticular fibers, they are absent. On the basis of distribution of fibers and matrix, it is of two types: dense regular and dense irregular. Dense regular, or known as cord, the bundle of the collagen fibers and the matrix distributed in a single pattern or a regular pattern in the matrix. Yellow fibers form network. Ligaments, it basically help to connect bone to bone, and tendons, it help to connect bone to muscle. Okay. Strongest ligament of body is iliofemoral ligament, which basically connects the hip bone, the pelvic girdle, the ilium bone of the pelvic girdle to the femur bone of hind limb. Okay. So iliofemoral ligaments. Okay. In quadrupeds like cow, buffalo, strongest ligament is ligamentum nuchae, present in between the two cervical vertebrae. The yellow fibrous connective tissue, it is basically having the collagen fibers. The reticular fibers are absent. On the basis of distribution of fibers and matrix, it is of two types called dense regular and dense irregular. Dense regular connective tissue, yellow fibrous connective tissue is having bundle of collagen fibers and matrix, okay, distributed in regular pattern. In matrix, yellow fibers form network ligament, okay, then iliofemoral ligament and ligamentum nuchae. Now coming to next, reticular fibers or the lymphoid tissues. The reticular fibers or the lymphoid tissues, they are basically found in the lymphoid organs. They are found in the lymphoid organs. Understood? Matrix of these tissue is lymph. Reticular fibers are more in amount and form dense network around star-shaped reticular cells. So around star-shaped reticular cells, they make a dense network which is phagocytic in action. Understood? Which is phagocytic in action. Lymphocyte cells are also more in number. Okay, as they are lymphoid tissues, the lymphocyte cells, they are more in number. They help to provide support and strength and form the stroma. Okay, stroma means the framework of soft organs. So they basically provide support and strength to form the stroma, that is the framework of soft organs. Example, spleen, lymph nodes, tonsils, Peyer's patches, all are having reticular fibers because they all are having basically associated with the common function of the production of lymphocytes. So whether it is lymph node, tonsils, or Peyer's patches. Okay. So the reticular fibers of the lymphoid tissue, they are mainly lymphoid organs. They are known as lymphoid organs. Matrix of this tissue is like lymph. Reticular fibers are more in amount and form dense network around the star-shaped reticular cells, which are phagocytic in action. Okay. Now, next is cortex of ovary. Example, endosteum. Okay, covering of bone marrow cavity. Okay, so covering of bone marrow cavity is made up of endosteum. Okay, then cortex of ovary, then lamina propria, trachea, bronchi, intestine. Okay, lamina propria, trachea, bronchi, and intestine. Okay, so this is about the reticular fibers of the lymphoid tissues. Understood? Now the mucoid connective tissue. Mucoid connective tissue is also known as the embryonic tissue. It is basically present in the embryological development. Okay. Matrix is abundance. Few collagen fibers and fibroblasts may be present. Matrix is composed of jelly-like substance known as what? Watson's jelly. And it is, and examples are umbilical cord connect placenta to fetus. The umbilical cord, it basically helps to connect placenta to fetus. Then vitreous humor. Vitreous humor is basically a fluid which is present in the anterior or the posterior compartment of the eye, as it is having two, I mean, there are having two compartments, the anterior and the posterior, which are filled with the vitreous humor and the aqueous humor. Okay, the vitreous humor in the vitreous body of the eye. Okay, and comb of cork. It is also the mucoid connective tissue. The comb of cork, vitreous humor, then the Watson's jelly, umbilical cord, they all are mucoid connective tissue. Okay. Now coming to next, pigmented connective tissue. They are basically of the presence of some pigmented cells like chromatophores, which provide coloration, melanophore, melanin, black, guanophore, guanine, white, xanthophore, yellowish. Examples, dermis of frog skin and iris and choroids of eye. So examples are dermis of frog skin and iris and choroid of eye. They basically have pigmented connective tissues. Okay. So chromatophores which provide coloration, melanophore to melanin, black, guanophore to guanine, white, xanthophore, xanthophyll, yellow, or dermis of frog skin. Iris and choroids. Understood? They are basically lined by pigmented connective tissue. Supporting connective tissue, it basically involves cartilage and bone, okay, because of the deposition of salts or the deposition of the other substances. So cartilage and bone, they are the basic, we can say the skeletal connective tissue or the supportive connective tissue, the cartilage and bone. Cartilage, they are solid or semi-solid, flexible, okay, and the bones, they are solid, rigid, and hard. After this supportive connective tissue, we will be starting cartilage in the next turn. Till then, my dear students, please take care. Bye bye, everyone. Stay safe, stay at home.